Good morning, students. So today we are going to start class 10th biology. Our first chapter is chapter 2, structure of chromosomes, cell cycle and cell division. So here in this chapter we are going to cover three main topics. So in today's lecture we are going to discuss about chromosomes only, right? So you have already studied about chromosome in class 9th, where chapter cell was read. Remember, the location of chromosome is, these are present in the nucleus of the cell. So let's see here what chromosomes are. If we view the nucleus of a cell under the microscope and that cell is unstained, that means uncolored, undyed, no color is there, then nothing will be visible under the microscope, that will be transparent. But after using suitable stain or dye, when we color that cell, the inside structure of nucleus will be noticeable, it will be visible, and that inside structure is chromosome. So you can see here the definition. Nucleus contains most of the cell's DNA, which is organized into discrete unit called chromosome. So basically, chromosome, it carries DNA inside it. Each chromosome contains long chain of DNA molecule which is associated with some proteins. That means it is coiled around some protein. And this complex of DNA and protein, together it is known as chromatin. So when cell is not dividing and we observe that cell under the microscope, it contains chromatin. But during cell division, if we observe the same cell during cell division, that chromatin is now known as chromosome. So this is very clear from this. If cell is not dividing, the inside material of nucleus is known as chromatin. If cell is dividing, now that inside material of nucleus is known as chromosomes. Here in the blue box, chromosomes are highly coiled and condensed chromatin fibers. Afterward, we have discovery of chromosome. So the chromosome in animal first studied by a German scientist called Walther Flemming. He observed rapidly dividing cell of a salamander under the microscope, right? And he actually observed a cell division known as mitosis. This mitosis we are going to cover up further in further classes, right? So here next topic is chromatin. If we talk about the composition of chromatin, it consists of two substances. First, DNA. Second, histone. DNA, its full form is deoxyribonucleic acid. And what is histone? It is a protein. And you can say it is a basic protein because we have different type of proteins also. So it is a basic protein. So in a chromatin, 40% of DNA is there and 60% of histone protein is there. In further topic, we have to study the molecular structure of DNA. That means the composition of DNA. In today's lecture, we have just discussed the introduction. DNA is comprises of basically three main parts. First, look here. First, sugar molecule. Second, nitrogenous base molecule. And third, phosphate molecule. Now you have to remember what sugar is present in the DNA. Here, so in DNA, total three parts are there. First is sugar and example is deoxyribose. Inside DNA, deoxyribose sugar is present. This is the structure of deoxyribose. It is pentagonal structure. Then we have nitrogenous base. Nitrogenous base means this is a chemical substance which contain lot of nitrogen molecule in it, right? We have two types of nitrogenous bases. Number 1 is purine. Number 2 is pyrimidine. Now, what is the difference of purine and pyrimidine? Purines, they contain 2-ring structure, right? Dicyclic structure. But pyrimidine is single ring structure, monocyclic structure. And we have examples of purine and pyrimidine which are present in the DNA. So, 2 purines are, first is adenine, second is guanine. You have to pronunciate these words properly. Adenine, guanine. And about pyrimidines, we have cytosine and thymine. Cytosine and thymine. So these are the total 4 nitrogenous bases which are present in DNA. Last topic is phosphate group. So this is inorganic molecule. You have already studied in chemistry. So phosphate molecule is there. So deoxyribose, nitrogenous base and phosphate, they together they are forming DNA molecule. The DNA molecule is very large molecule, heavy molecule, having a lot of molecular weight. So this is known as macromolecule. And inside one DNA molecule, total 2 chains are there. So we use word strands. Okay, you can also write chain or strand. So total 2 chains are there. And those are actually present in the form of helical structure. This is helical structure, that means coiled around each other. These are not straight chains, these are coiled around each other. Okay, if we talk about single chain or single strand, it consists of so many repeated nucleotides. So in today's lecture, we have discussed what nucleotides are, how nucleotides are formed. So you can look here at the picture. One sugar molecule, nitrogenous base molecule and one phosphate molecule. Together they form one nucleotide. And in DNA, a chain is made up of so many nucleotides arranged in a linear sequence. Right? So you can see here. So this is a nucleotide chain having phosphate, sugar and nitrogenous base molecule. Thymine is here. Here phosphate, sugar and cytosine is there. Here phosphate, sugar and adenine is there. So this is a single chain. And in DNA, total 2 chains are there. So you can see here in the picture, 2 chains are there. Those 2 chains are joined together with the help of nitrogenous bases. They pair, they make a bond. From here, one nitrogenous base bond with the nitrogenous base of another chain. You can see here, T bonded with A. So look here, between adenine and thymine, this portion, between adenine and thymine, 2 hydrogen bonds are present. That means adenine will always bond with, pair with thymine. And guanine always pair with cytosine. This pairing will never change. This is universal. This will remain same in every organism or on every place. Right? So A have 2 hydrogen bond. G has 3 hydrogen bond. You can say A pair with T with double hydrogen bond and G pair with C with triple hydrogen bond. So this gives a shape of a ladder or you can say staircase. So these are the sides of the ladder and these are the steps of the ladder, right? And this helical structure, this is similar to the spiral staircase or spiral ladder. This is simply twisted, otherwise molecule is same. So in actual, this is the molecule of DNA which is present inside our body. Here they have shown few of the nitrogenous nucleotides are there, few of the nitrogenous bases in between, but in a DNA molecule, 100 to 1000 or even lakhs, so many nucleotides are present in a single chain of DNA. This is quite complex molecule. We'll start with the structure of chromosome. So here on the board you can see this is the journal structure of a chromosome, right? So here you can see This structure is known as chromatid, and in a single chromosome, total 2 chromatids are there. And how we name them? We call them sister chromatids. These 2 chromatids together, they are known as sister chromatids. And these 2 chromatids are joined at a point known as centromere. So centromere is the point of attachment of sister chromatid. Right? So this is a general structure of a chromosome. Okay, we have different type of chromosomes on the basis of position of centromere. So here you can see the next chromosome. Here the centromere is slightly away from the center. You can compare these 2 chromosomes. They are almost equal in size, but the location of centromere is different. It is slightly away from the center. The chromosome whose centromere is in the center is called metacentric chromosome. Whose centromere is present in the center of the chromatids is called metacentric. The chromosome whose centromere is slightly away from the center is called submetacentric chromosome. Third type is when the upper portion of a chromosome is quite small. Right? You can't say it is in the center, it is almost near to the tip or end. So such chromosome is known as acrocentric. Fourth one is the chromosome in which the upper chromatids are missing or absent. So such chromosome is known as telocentric, having only lower arms. You can also call them arms. Like the portion of chromatid present above the centromere and below the centromere, they can be known as upper arm and lower arm respectively. Right? So histones are the protein which help in the coiling and packaging of DNA. I told you DNA always coiled around histone proteins. The histone protein, they are present together and form a ball-like structure. Total 8 molecules of histone proteins are there. So that 8 molecules when form a ball-like structure, form a core-like structure. That is known as histone octamer. And when DNA strand is coiled around that octamer, that unit is known as nucleosome. Right? So in a single human chromosome, you can find millions of nucleosomes. Here, from this diagrammatic representation, you can easily get the whole topic. So this is your DNA. And I told you DNA is coiled around histone octamer, making a structure known as nucleosome. So this is a nucleosome. See here. You have histone octamer, DNA coiled around it, making a bead-like structure. It is a nucleosome. And in a single chromosome, millions of nucleosomes are there. Here you can see this structure is coiled, then supercoiled and making chromatin fiber. Now this is known as chromatin fiber, which is present in the chromosome. This is the structure of chromosome. So a lot of thread is present here in coiled form. Right? Next we have genes. So what are genes? Genes are specific sequences of nucleotide on a chromosome. That means if you have a DNA, just from this diagram, suppose this line is your DNA, but these boxes contain information about the formation of some protein only. This empty area of DNA does not have any information. So such portion of DNA, such small part of DNA which carries information for the formation of some protein is called gene. You can say part of DNA, or here they have used sequence of nucleotide. Basically in a DNA what you got? Sequence of nucleotide only. Right? So they code for a particular protein, and that protein help in the formation of or expression of some feature of our body. Right? So whatever function is going on in our body. Next we have to cover need for new cells. Why new cells are required? Well, why cell division has to occur in the organism. So here are the reasons. First, for the growth of the body. So most of the organisms such as plants and animals, they begin their life from a single cell, zygote. And in that single cell, with the repeated cell divisions, it become a cluster of cell, then start attaining shape for different function, forming tissue and organ, and then develop into a complete organism. So that growth occurs due to cell division. When new cells are added, then organism is formed. Then second, we have for replacement. When cells become old after functioning, they die and they are replaced by new cells. New cells take their function, take their position. So new cells are required, so cell division is required here. Then comes for repair. If you got any injury, that area is again occupied by new cells. That area is healed by, covered by new cells. So again, cell division occur here. New cells are added. Last, we have reproduction. In organisms which are unicellular, their body simply divide into two and two daughter cells are formed. So this happens due to cell division. But in higher organisms, special organs are there inside which cell division take place and special reproductive cells are produced which participate in the process of reproduction. So cell division also play a very important role in reproduction. Right? So cell cycle, here we have two steps in cell cycle. First, the growth of cell, afterwards its division. So these two comprises cell cycle, right? So look here. In cell cycle we have two steps. One is cell growth and second is cell division. First, cell grow in size and getting ready for cell division. And afterwards it divide into two cells. So here in our chapter, for cell growth we have a term known as interphase. Interphase means growth of cell or preparatory phase of cell for division. And for cell division we have another name. This term is M phase. This means simply cell division phase. In this phase cell divides. So we are going to discuss these two phases in detail. So first of all we have interphase. So you can see here in the diagram total 3 phases are there inside interphase. Number 1 G1 phase, number 2 S phase and number 3 G2 phase, right? G1 phase, the full form of G1 phase is first growth phase. So this is the first phase in which growth of cell occurs. So look here, this is a diagram of a cell. So this is nucleus and this part is cytoplasm, right? So during G1 phase, the cytoplasm increases. That means volume of cytoplasm increases and cell will grow in size. In this phase, RNA and proteins are also produced. So both will help in cell division. So this is your G1 phase. Then comes second phase, S phase. Full form of S phase is synthetic phase or synthesis phase. You can see here, only DNA is synthesized during this phase. Nothing else is produced, only DNA. DNA means deoxyribonucleic acid is produced. What happens? Doubling of DNA occurs. That means copies of DNAs are produced. For example, in a cell only one DNA is there. After S phase, 2 DNA will be there. That means copy is produced, right? Last phase is G2 phase. This is almost similar to G1 phase. That means in this phase, the remaining RNA and proteins are produced that help in cell division. If we talk about the duration of this phase, this is of shorter duration than G1 phase. There will be no increase in the volume of cytoplasm. And at the end of this phase, M phase will start. That means cell division will occur. Next we have M phase. M phase means division phase. In M phase we have two type of divisions. In M phase, The first division is of nucleus. First nucleus divide, and its division is known as karyokinesis. Karyo means nucleus, kinesis means division. That means the division of nucleus. Second, we have cytoplasm division, and division of cytoplasm is known as cytokinesis, right? So in M phase, first karyokinesis occur and then cytokinesis occurs. Now we will discuss the detail of karyokinesis. When nucleus divide, 4 steps occur. These are the subphases of karyokinesis. So you have to remember this series. So first is prophase, second is metaphase, third anaphase, and fourth is telophase. In 10th class, we have discussed cell cycle. In cell cycle, we were having 2 phases, interphase and aphase. Interphase further consists 3 subphases, which were first growth phase, synthesis phase, and second growth phase, right? So this was already done in detail in previous lecture. So today we will start with formation of new DNA. So this is related to S phase. S phase means synthesis phase, and in S phase, new DNA was formed. Actually, DNA was duplicating. It was getting doubled, right? So you can see here in the diagram, I'm going to explain everything from here. So at the beginning, suppose we have one DNA and it has to double. So how it will double? The bond which are present here, the bonds due to nitrogen bases, for example, A bond with T and G bond with C, those bond will break and these 2 chains separate. On separation, single chain will start forming its own second chain. Look here. It was not completely open, it was half open, right? It's winding, it got unwinded up to half here. This part has created its own second segment of DNA. This did the same. And slowly, very slowly, this binding will open and these chains will be, new chains will be completed here. And at the end, we are getting total 2 DNAs. So this is doubling of DNA. From one DNA, we are getting 2 DNAs, and this happens in S phase of interphase, right? So by this, DNA material got double. So this process is known as replication, right? So here the topic is, can cell cycle continue without any control? So answer is no. At some places it stops permanently, at some places it stops temporarily. So cell cycle will go on when it is required. When new cells are required, cell cycle will continue. So let's take example here, brain and nerve cells. Once they are formed in embryo, they don't divide further. When these cells are dead, they will not be replaced. In case of liver cell, these are replaced every 1 to 2 years if they got damaged. But skin cell, surface skin cells, these are continuously replaced by the underlying cell, right? In plants, we have meristematic tissue. These are present at the tips of root and stem, and it consists of actively dividing cells. So they divide rapidly and they produce new cell. They increases the length of the plant. So here the cell cycle goes continuously. Then we have germ cells. These cells are only present in reproductive parts, whether in flower or in animals. So they also produce special type of cell. Those are known as sex cells or gametes, right? Last, we have uncontrolled cell cycle leads to the formation of cancer. This means sometimes some cells, they start doing cell division in uncontrolled manner. Even cell division is not required, still they go on dividing and dividing, producing lot of cells. So this can lead to the formation of tumor, and tumor can be cancerous. It can form cancer, right? Next we have cell division. Here we have 2 types of cell division, mitosis and meiosis. Today we will discuss only mitosis. So mitosis can be discussed with the help of one cell. Suppose this is human cell, and every human cell contains 46 chromosomes. That means chromosome number is 46. So when the cell divides and produce two cells, the main cell is always known as parent cell, and the newly formed cells from parent cell, they are known as daughter cells. So I will use these terms. So parent cell contains 46 chromosomes. When it divides into two cells, before division during S phase, DNA doubles, right? Chromosome material becomes double, and it got divided half in both the cells, and both the cells are getting 46 chromosome. So what is the definition of mitosis? It is the equational division in which parent cell divides into two daughter cells. The two daughter cells contain same number of chromosome as it is present in the parent cell. So why this division is equational? Because the number of chromosome in daughter cell is equal to the number of chromosome in the parent cell. There is no difference in the chromosome number. It remains same. When these cells divide, they will again produce two cells having 46 chromosomes. So this is the reason it is called equational division, and mitosis occur in every cell of our body. Every cell of our body basically known as somatic cell. Every cell of the body, skin cell, hair cell, any organ cell, muscle cell, every cell is known as somatic cell. And here germinal cell. What are germinal cell? The cells which are present in reproductive organs, they are known as germinal cell. They are only present in reproductive organ, not at any other place. They will be in the reproductive system only, right? So mitosis occur in somatic cells only. So now next question is, how many cells are produced after one mitosis? So simple answer is 2 cells are produced. You can see here only 2 are getting produced here. So how many cells are produced after mitosis? Only 2. And chromosome number remain same. For that, first of all, definition of mitosis. It is the cell division in which one parent cell divide into 2 daughter cell like this, and each daughter cell contain same number of chromosome as it is present in the parent cell. Okay, here we are talking about human cell. Otherwise, you can show this also. Like one cell is having 2n number. This is parent cell. When 2 daughter cells are produced from it, same chromosome number is seen in the daughter cells. So such division is known as mitosis. So this is equational division. Equal number of cells are present in the daughter cells as it is present in the parent cell. Okay, what is this 2n thing? So I will discuss 2 definitions with you. One is diploid cell. Second is haploid cells. Right? So listen the definition of diploid cell first of all here. The cell which contain 2 sets of chromosome. Such cell is known as diploid cell. For example, 2 set means, again move to human cell. So this 46 can be written as 23 pairs. That means we have 2 sets of chromosome. One set will have total 23 chromosome, and in total 2 sets are there. That means 23 is present in total, which is 46. Or look here, I have just trying to explain this 23 pair of chromosomes. Like those pairs have numbering also, like 1 to 23. For example, the first pair which is at number 1 position, so 2 chromosomes are there. This is number 1 position chromosome, so pair is there. Similarly, number 2 position chromosome, again 2 chromosomes are there. Same way till 23 we are having 2 chromosome, like chromosomes in pair. So in total, how many set we are having? We have 2 set. This is 1 set, this is second set. So 2 set of chromosome. So this means human cell is diploid cell. So I have written 46 here. or this can be shown by this 2n. If anywhere 2n is mentioned, it means we are talking about diploid cells. All right. So in human, every part of the body, it contains diploid cell. All the higher organism means complex organism which have complex form, like different organ systems are there. Those are complex organisms. So all higher organisms, these are complex, and every higher organism contain diploid cells. Second, we have haploid cells. Definition: when cell consists of one set of chromosome or single set of chromosome, such cell is known as haploid cell. Right? So example, in human, 23 chromosome if present in a single cell, it will be known as haploid cell. Or if we have to write down it in journal form, we can write it as N cell. So if somewhere only N is present like this, it means we are talking about haploid cells. Right? If you people remember about 9th class, there we have read about ovule and pollen grains. So inside pollen grain, there were 2 male nuclei, or simply you can say those were male gametes. And inside ovule, like this center cell was known as egg cell. With this, male gamete fuses. So this is female gamete, right? So gametes always contain half number of chromosome, one set of chromosome. Whether it is human gamete, whether it is some plant gamete, every gamete consists of one set of chromosome. So those are always haploid cells. Now we will discuss the different phases of mitosis. First phase is prophase, second is metaphase, then anaphase, and last telophase. So in the beginning, if we are having a cell, it is having a nucleus, and that nucleus is having chromatin material like this. It is having darkly stained body known as nucleolus, and at this position it is having centrosome. Okay, when prophase started, 3 main things are going to happen. First of all, this chromatin material, this coiled material will start becoming thick and short. This is known as condensation of chromatin material. Condensation, thickening and shortening of genetic material. It will change it into chromosome. So this structure will be converted into this structure, chromosome. So this process of conversion is known as condensation. So this is the first step of prophase. Second step, nuclear membrane and nucleolus, they will disappear. They will become invisible. Third step, these 2 centriole, they will start moving to the opposite poles. That means what is going to happen at the end? Centriole will end up here. Second centriole will end up here, like this. Nuclear membrane is start disappearing. This chromatin material is start becoming like this structure. Chromosomes are getting produced. Okay. So at the end of the prophase, you will observe this structure. Like this, right? And when centriole move to different poles, they will start producing 2 things. One, esterase. Second, this dotted structure. These are spindle fiber. These are known as spindle fiber. So this is your prophase. So 3 main things that happened in prophase. First, condensation of chromatin material. Second, disappearing of nuclear membrane and nucleolus. And third, 2 centriole will start moving to the opposite poles, and they produce esterase and spindle fiber. So with this, prophase ends. Second phase is metaphase. Already chromosomes are visible, but during this stage, their visibility become more clear. So this is the stage in which chromosomes are thickest and shortest. Note down this thing. In metaphase, chromosomes are thickest and the shortest, right? Plus, they will arrange themselves at the equator. Equator means center. They will arrange themselves on the equator. So like this. Okay? Is it clear? So chromosome will arrange themselves at the equator. And the spindle fiber, they will attach the chromosome here. Here you have centromere. They will attach to the centromere. Alright? So with this, metaphase ends. So in anaphase, what is going to happen? What was before? In metaphase, you have already read that chromosomes are present at the equator. These are the centrioles and spindle fibers are attached to the centromere of both the chromosomes. In anaphase, next step is going to happen. These chromosomes are present here, right? Here, these spindle fibers, they will start pulling themselves toward the opposite pole. Like this spindle fiber will start pulling itself toward the centriole. Similarly, this spindle fiber will pull itself toward the opposite pole. What will happen next? Due to this pulling of spindle fiber, the centromere present here, it will split into two. It will break into two. And the result of this will be like this. Centromere, breakage is there, and these sister chromatids of a single chromosome, they separate and they will start moving toward the opposite pole. Same will happen here. So you can see. So this is anaphase, right? As these chromosomes, these breakage chromosomes, or you can say chromatids, they are moving toward the opposite pole, and this will be the stage which we can call late anaphase. In your book it is mentioned this is late anaphase. So splitting begins here. It was early anaphase, and then when they were separating, they are moving toward opposite pole. Now it is known as late anaphase. With this, anaphase is finished, right? One more thing related to anaphase. You can see here the shape of the sister chromatid, right? So this can be of V shape. This can be of L or J shape. So this will be like this. It can be of I shape if the situation is like this. How these forms arise? If your chromosome is metacentric, then we are going to get this shape. So look here. Such chromosome is there. If it is break from the center, it is broken down from the center on separation, this gives us V shape. Submetacentric chromosome, on breakage, it will give us what shape? It gives us J, or you can say L shape. And we have telocentric chromosome. On breakage, it is going to give us I shape. So this is anaphase, right? Now we are going to start fourth phase, which is telophase, right? So here, as chromosomes were moving toward the opposite pole, once they reach the opposite pole here, near the centromere, they will start changing into thread-like structure. Those chromatid again changes into fiber-like structure. Okay? And then appearance of nucleolus is there, appearance of nuclear membrane is there, and the centriole which is present here, it just attains this position. Similarly, on the second pole, same is going to happen. Chromatin thread is there, covered by nuclear membrane, having a darkly stained structure nucleolus and centriole at the top. So by this you can observe this is telophase. So what changes happened here? This is completely reversal of prophase. So we can discuss both the phases together. In prophase,
condensation happen. Condensation means thickening and shortening of chromosome. Here, opposite has happened. Chromosomes are becoming coiled and thin. Second point. In prophase, there disappearance of nuclear membrane and nucleolus was there. But what is here? Nuclear membrane and nucleolus, they reappear. They come back again. Right. Third point was centriole move to opposite pole. They start producing esterase and spindle fiber. But here, no esterase, no spindle fiber. That means here they disappear. Spindle fiber and esterase, they disappear during telophase. So this is your telophase, and at the end we are getting 2 nucleus. Right? Next we have cytokinesis. Right? Previously we have discussed karyokinesis in detail. In that we have discussed 4 parts: prophase, metaphase, anaphase and telophase. Now next part is cytokinesis, means division of cytoplasm. Right? Division of cytoplasm, I will explain you this division with the help of 2 diagrams. I will take both animal cell and plant cell diagram. Suppose this is animal cell and here we are having plant cell. I will mention here animal cell and here it is plant cell. Right? When during telophase 2 nucleus are created here, then this cell membrane start folding toward inside like this. This will start folding towards inside, and this is known as cell furrow. This is known as cell furrow, and this formation of cell furrow starts during telophase. But after the end of telophase, this furrow will join and this will lead to the formation of 2 separate cells. Right? In case of plant cell, during anaphase, a structure in the center will start forming. This is known as cell plate. Right? And at the end of telophase, this reaches the sides, making 2 complete cells. So here in plant cells, in cytokinesis, we are having cell plate formation. It divides the 2 portion of a cell, making 2 cells at the end. So cell plate actually grows from center toward outside, but cell furrow, it grows from outside to the center. So this is a difference between. In paper, you can get a question like differentiate between cytokinesis in plant cell and in animal cell. So 2 main differences are there. Here, cell furrow formation starts during telophase, but here the cell plate formation starts during anaphase. Cell furrow grows from outer area toward inside, and cell plate grows from center toward the periphery. With this, mitosis is completed. Try to memorize all the points. So let's again take the overview of mitosis. So in mitosis, one parent cell divides into 2 daughter cells, giving the same number of chromosome as it is present in the parent cell. Same number of chromosome in the parent cell and same is present in the daughter cell. There is no difference. So this is mitosis. It is the equational cell division in which same number of chromosome are present in the daughter cell as it is present in the parent cell. Next we have meiosis. So meiosis, it occurs in 2 steps. That means meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. Total 2 steps are there. Meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. So let's see what is happening here. So this is a parent cell. It divides into 2 cells and chromosome number becomes half, reduces to half. You can see here it was 2n, now it is n. In further division of meiosis, now total 4 cells are produced. Total how many cells are produced? 4. But they have same number of chromosome as it is present here. Right? So you can see here from a parent cell, At the end, how many daughter cells are produced? 4 are produced. And what number of chromosome is present in them? It is half as compared to parent cell. So according to this, the definition of meiosis is, it is the reductional division in which the daughter cell contain half number of chromosome as it is present in the parent cell, and at the end total 4 daughter cells are produced. Right? And related to this topic, we have again haploid and diploid definition. So here 2n number is always diploid and n number is always haploid. So now you can tell me, in meiosis, diploid cell divide into 4 haploid daughter cells. At the end we are getting haploid cell, half number of chromosome, and this is the case that is observed in the case of gametes. In reproductive system, when gametes are produced, they have haploid cell always, right? Division always start from diploid cell, and at the end we have haploid cell, right? 2n means diploid and n means haploid. All right, but in mitosis, diploid cell divide and produces diploid cell. No changes there. After this, I'm going to discuss today's practical work, right?
So here we are going to discuss about the experiment of mitosis on garlic. So let's see here. So let's see the overview of mitosis. One parent cell when divide, it produces 2 daughter cell with same number of chromosomes as it is present in the parent cell. Now we will discuss about the requirement of this experiment. So we have taken garlic, even onion can be used in this place, beaker, toothpick, then we have alcohol, we have HCl, we have acetocarmine dye, glass slides are there, blade, watch glasses, empty glass bottle, and then we have burner, filter paper, forceps, Caesar, droppers, and compound microscope, and then immersion oil. So we have to place garlic in water like this so that its root area should dip in water. After a few days we can observe roots have grown. Then we can take a tiny portion of the root, we'll cut it with the help of Caesar, then we are going to put this into alcohol so that its DNA can be preserved, right? It can be used in future also. And then after this, after putting this garlic tip into alcohol, we have to keep this for 48 hours. And after this, we are going to transfer this material into alcohol for about 4 to 5 minutes. Right? So why we are keeping the tip of garlic into acid? It will soften the cells, it will soften the plant tissue, right? So that it can easily get the stain. After this we have to just heat this for a little while so that it can be fixed on the watch glass. Then we have to give washings. We have to wash this material with water 4 to 5 times to remove the effect of acid completely. Right. Afterwards we are going to stain the material using acetocarmine dye. For the purpose of staining is the DNA material present or the nucleus present, it will get a color. Again we have to heat this so that cell easily absorb the dye. After this, we are going to place the material under study on the glass slide. It will be cut into tiny pieces with the help of blade. Then we are going to cover this material with cover slip. Cover slip is very tiny, thin piece of glass. And afterwards we have to slightly press the material so that thin layer of cell can be formed, which can be easily viewed under the microscope. So now you're going to observe the cells under the microscope. This is advanced compound microscope. So such structure can be viewed. So in every cell division is going on, different phases can be observed. Then in next, so in this phase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, all the phases can be easily identified, right? Detailed prophase, metaphase, anaphase and telophase will be discussed further. When we have to increase the magnification of the microscope, then we can observe it. Here we have the slides of cell division. First, this is interphase. At this phase, cells are at rest. That means no visible changes are there. Then prophase is there. Here nuclear material is disappearing. Next is, this is late prophase. You can see nuclear material is more thin. Now metaphase, chromosome arrange themselves on the equator. Here this is anaphase, when splitting of chromosome occur and now they are moving toward opposite poles. This is late anaphase. And last we have the slide of telophase. Now you can see two different nucleus, these are generated. And after telophase you can observe cytokinesis also, and this was plant cell, so you can see cell plate formation is also there.
Hello students. So today in biology class we are going to start with meiosis, right? The overview of meiosis is discussed here. You can see meiosis is having two steps, meiosis 1, meiosis 2. In meiosis further we have 4 phases. We have prophase 1, metaphase 1, anaphase 1 and telophase 1. And then after this we have meiosis 2, prophase 2, metaphase 2, anaphase 2 and telophase 2. As you people have read in mitosis, we were having all these 4 phases. Similarly, in meiosis we have 2 steps and all these 4 phases, they occur 2 times. First as prophase 1, metaphase 1, anaphase 1 and telophase 1. Second time as the second phases. Okay? Same things are happening as it was happened in mitosis. But here, this prophase is having further subphases, substages, and there are 5 substages. These are CD-wise, right? So first we have leptotene, zygotene, pectine, dikinesis, and diplotene. You people don't have to memorize the subphases as this is extra information. But those who want to score 80 out of 80, they can keep such things in their mind. Alright? So with this, meiosis is finished. Now we have few of the definitions which are related to meiosis. I'm going to discuss that with you. First of all, we have a term homologous chromosome. So you people have to remember the definition of this homologous chromosome. So look here, when a pair of chromosome is similar in size, in structure, in length and also the position of genes, number of genes, type of gene present on them. If everything is same, so such pair can be known as homologous chromosome. Look here, this is also a homologous pair of chromosome, like both the chromosomes are similar. Here, third example is there. These are also homologous chromosomes, right? You can see from this, you can form your own definition. The pair of chromosomes which are similar in size size and structure and have same locus of genes present on them. Such chromosomes are known as homologous chromosomes. Alright. Then we have another term, crossing over. Why we are going through this term crossing over? Because this is related to meiosis. So look here. Here I have drawn homologous chromosome, but I have given them different color because I want to discuss another process using these homologous chromosomes. You can see they are similar in length. Homologous chromosomes are randomly present in the nucleus, but during zygotine phase of prophase 1, the homologous chromosome come together and they pair up. They make a pair. They come together. Pairing of homologous chromosome in zygotine is known as synapsis. So we got another definition, synapsis. Pairing of homologous chromosome in zygotine is known as synapsis. Alright? So let's continue with the crossing over process. So when they pair up, when synapses occur, after this, the non-sister chromatids, in the beginning of chapter, when we discussed the structure of chromosome, I told you in a single chromosome, these are known as sister chromatids. But in a homologous pair of chromosome, these two segments are known as non-sister chromatids. These are known as non-sister chromatids. Alright? So they are going to cross like this. They are going to cross like this. And afterwards, they separate. When they separate, we are going to get such chromosome. You can see portion of one chromosome shifted to another and its portion is shifted to first chromosome. You can easily view here. So what happened here? Crossing over take place here. Crossing over take place here. And when it occurs in Peytine phase. When it occurs in Peytine phase. Alright? When the non-sister chromatids, they cross each other at a point where they are crossing, a cross is formed. Such cross is known as chiasmata. Now another definition, chiasmata. Right? Here we got new combination. These are known as recombinant. When different combinations are produced, new combinations are produced, these are known as recombinants. Alright? So this was your today's lecture. Thank you.
Hello students. So today we are going to start with the discussion of progress check, chapter 2, on page number 11. So you can see here we are having fill in the blanks. So in first fill up, chromatin fiber is made up of DNA and dash. Answer will be histone proteins. Second, the two sister chromatids of a chromosome are attached to each other at centromere. Third one, structure of DNA was first discovered by, it is Watson and Crick. Three components of a nucleotide are phosphate, sugar and nitrogenous base. Then 5. DNA strand wound around histone octamer forms a complex called nucleosome. A specific sequence of nucleotides on a chromosome constitute. Answer is gene. Next we are having review questions. First of all, multiple choice question. So chromatin material is formed of option DNA and histone. The term chromosome literally means colored bodies. Number of chromosome in a certain type of cell is halved. So such division, it take place in ovary and testes because both are reproductive organ, and I told you meiosis occurs in reproductive organs. Question number 4. In which one of the following options the stages of mitosis have been given in correct sequence? So look at number B. Prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. This is the correct sequence. Last we are having synthesis phase in the cell cycle is called. So far the synthesis of more of. What is more produced here? DNA. Next in B part we have very short answer type. First, name the following. The repeating components of each DNA strand lengthwise. These are known as